Oh, you're still unhappy. I can see it in your eyes.
I still love him.
The worst part of a breakup isn't losing them. You know that they're not right for you eventually, even when you miss them. No. The worst part of a breakup is losing your person.
I'm having a bit of a tough day today, so I thought that I'd share that. Even though I'm the person who initiated the divorce, I'm feeling some jealousy because my ex is really out there working it. Not necessarily that he's looking for a girlfriend, but he's definitely working on building his social network. And that includes women. And even though I don't want to be with him anymore in that way, it still triggers jealousy and pain. I know he's suffering and, he's dealing with the rejection that he
Nah, he's moved on. It's you and you're projecting. Stop projecting.
feels because I'm the one who is leaving.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
A woman shared her regrets about not working harder to save her marriage now that her ex-husband is happily remarried. The 41-year-old woman shared to the True Off My Chest subreddit that she left her husband around 10 years ago, shortly after they'd had their first child together. According to this woman, there were no major issues in the marriage. She was a stay-at-home mom and had her husband wrapped around her finger. He did whatever she said, and she burnt him out. When he grew tired of her demands, she started threatening divorce. She thought she was still a great catch and that she could do better than her husband, so she left. She ended up getting joint custody of her son and the house after the divorce. Now, 10 years later, the ex-husband is happily remarried with a baby daughter and a new house. The divorced woman, on the other hand, has been unmarried ever since. She's jealous of her ex-husband's new wife, saying, "She took my husband, she took my kid, she took my life that was once mine, and now I live in an empty house." She claims she is alone and miserable and wishes she would have been a better wife 10 years ago so she wouldn't be in this situation. As you can probably imagine, not many people were very sympathetic towards this woman. "You got what you deserved and he got what he deserved," one Redditor commented. Others noted that the new wife didn't take anything from her, with one saying, "You gave it away." This woman's story may end in bitterness and guilt, but that's not the case for most divorcees. According to research derived from family law attorneys, 80% of divorcees end up remarried. While divorce is a valid option in many situations, it's not always the solution. It takes two to make things work, and many people believe this woman reaped what she
The
sowed.
truth is, as long as that man is able to move past the divorce, is able to provide, quite okay, he might have lost some resources or he may continue losing resources as a result of a divorce, but as long as he's able to rebuild himself, gather up resources, being able or capable of taking care of another family, it's very much easier for you to get past that and remarry again if that's what you want. There are a lot of people that it has worked out. Some of them they've opted not to get married. But guys, let me see in the comment section if you are one of those guys that have been divorced before, whether you are married now or you're married or you decided to just have girlfriends. Let me see in the comment section.
You wanna know what my biggest regret of my divorce was? Letting the divorce dictate what I did for about the first 8 years when I started it. I literally let the court system, filings, the motions, the attorneys, the judge, my ex. It is my number one regret. My self-esteem was so low during those first 8, just so I could come across that our co-parenting journey was okay when it really was not. I literally tried everything I could to make it perfect for my kids, when in reality, I was only causing more problems because I was showing my kids that boundaries don't matter.
When you initiated the divorce and you didn't just want it to end in peace, you continued with the drama and all that, which spread to the kids now. And it's like you're coming to your senses now, but it's too late. I'm so sorry to let you know.
I have what I call the lost generations theory about this, which is that I think our mothers, sort of like millennial Gen Z's mothers, are the lost generation of feminism, and us, millennials and Gen Z's, often are the lost generation of romance. And what I mean by that is that our mothers were kind of the first really generation where it was like completely normal for women to have a full career, but they grew up with the sort of gendered expectations that they would do all the housework and the childcare, and so men expected that as well, and they were very much like the 90s movies, early 2000s movies, like have it all mentality. And so they did. They did it all. And they became the lost generation of feminism because they, in proving that they could be in these spaces and that they could do this work and that they could be just as good as a man, they ended up working harder for less while still doing all of the work at home. And then our generation watched our mothers do that and grew up with that and said, absolutely not. If I'm going to work and I'm going to be, women on average now, if I'm going to be more educated and I am going to be working as many hours as you and making as much money, I mean, within careers, obviously that shifts and the gender gap is real. But women said, I'm not doing all the housework. I'm not doing all of the childcare. I'm not doing all of this if I am also working. We are the same people. So, but then the men in our generation were raised with have it all mothers. So they are well, my mom worked and did all the housework and did everything. So they either never learned to be self-sufficient and don't know how to contribute 50-50 to a household, or feel like they shouldn't have to and that every woman should be like their mother. And so that is why a lot of millennial and Gen Z women are dating less, because not only do we no longer need men to survive, as women did for a huge amount of history, we have our own choices and agency and don't have to settle for someone who isn't willing to put an equal amount of effort and care into our household, but we also aren't willing to do all the things that their mothers did. So we are happier on our own. We're happier with our girlfriends. We're happier to have peace than to be in a relationship that isn't going to be equal. That's my theory on that.
Feminism is absolutely about taking something away from men. One child has 20 marbles and the other has 10 marbles. The child with 20 needs to give up 5.
So on the one hand, yes, equity requires the redistribution of wealth, and privilege and oppression are inextricably linked. If you want to eliminate oppression, you also have to eliminate privileges. But feminism is also about giving something to men, giving us freedom. Freedom from the limitations, the restrictions, the discipline, the surveillance of traditional hegemonic masculinity. Freedom from the expectation that you'll be the sole breadwinner and provider for your family. Freedom from the expectation that you will be tough, stoic, aggressive. And the freedom to be emotional and empathetic and kind without the perception that that means you're also weak. Freedom to cry when you watch Disney movies, have platonic female friends, be the stay-at-home dad. Wear pink. Does feminism demand that we lose something? Yes, we still come out ahead.